Hello everyone. Today we're going to review the Nintendo Switch, Adnan and I. First thoughts, I love it. It's super awesome.
It's great.
We're going to weigh the pros and cons. So, pros, I think there's a lot of them. I think battery life is way better than everyone expected. Everyone expected it to be, 3 hours max on a game like Zelda or something, which we'll be talking about later.
Yeah, but we tried it out, and we tried out max settings. It took a good 4 hours on max settings for battery to drop down, and that's pretty good on max settings. So if you leave it at average settings, it'll last pretty long. You can get a lot done.
Yeah. Other pros, the Joy-Cons are very comfortable to hold. I expected them to be a little bit small, but I actually haven't found an issue with them.
Yeah.
Also, there's a lot of peripherals out right now for them, for the Switch in terms of controls, but I've actually found none of them to be really necessary because the Switch comes with this in-box, which is the grip, which you can put the Joy-Cons into it, and it'll become more like a traditional controller. And I was a little worried that it was going to feel boxy and really small, because I have medium-sized hands, not too big, but I was afraid because people had said that it was going to be small, but I've actually found that something like the Pro Controller, which is basically just like an Xbox controller for the Switch, is really not necessary for any of the games that are out at this point. So you don't have to shell out the extra $80 that comes with buying the Pro Controller, after the $300 of the Switch.
Yeah.
Other pros, I think the screen on the Switch itself is very sharp.
Yeah.
I was afraid that I heard 720, which is kind of below standard for certain systems today. But to be honest, since it's on a screen that's so much closer to you, you can't compare the resolution of a TV with the resolution of a handheld system. So I think it's super sharp, and it's a definite step up from something like the 3DS.
Yeah.
I didn't have a problem with the resolution.
Yeah. If we go over a couple of cons, we brought up the $80 controller. I'd say one big problem involving this is probably the amount of peripherals you probably need for the Switch, alongside the price for them. For instance, the controller. I have medium-sized hands as well, so the controller is not that bad for me. But for people with larger hands, a Pro Controller seems like it'd be a bit more comfortable. But with such a pricey cost of $80 for a controller, it's a bit too much. And just for more Joy-Cons, it's also pretty expensive.
Yeah, it's a little crazy.
That combined with the fact that there's only 8 GB of space coming in with the console, it kind of ends up being a bit problematic.
Yeah, the one major problem that I had with the Switch was when you bought a system like the Wii or the Wii U, it came with a lot of things. It came with multiple controllers. It came with, the accessories that you need, and it came with a game.
Yeah.
I feel like the Switch, when I bought it, I had to buy the first game. There was no pack-in title. I wish 1-2 Switch had been one, because really there's no possible chance that I'm going to buy that game at $50 right now.
Yeah, it's perfectly appropriate to fit with the peripheral.
Yeah, really. It shows off all the, quote-unquote gimmicks of the system very well, but I'm not paying $50 for it because it's just a party game. But, it didn't come with an SD card. It didn't... to be fair, actually, it's better than most consoles. So, an Xbox One, you buy it, you only get one controller. With the Switch, technically it's one traditional controller, but just inherent in its design, you get each Joy-Con, which for certain games like Mario Kart can be used as a controller independently. So, I can play with Adnan and I right now if I'd like, which is cool.
But let's
hold on. The one thing that I was a little worried about was that I was going to have one of the problems that it seems like so many Switch owners online have had, and I've actually found that I haven't seen any of them. So I've heard 3 big ones. The 3 big ones were the left Joy-Con will intermittently not work.
Yeah.
Just stop taking input to the Switch, which I was worried about because it seemed like a lot of people had that, but I didn't have that at all. I could walk 10 feet away from the Switch and hold the Joy-Con behind my back, and it still worked perfectly. So, I didn't have that issue. I also heard that the dock seemed to be scratching some people's screens, and I was a little worried about that because I plan on using the Switch with friends, and the dock is a good way to do that on the TV and stuff. But again, I haven't found that. I guess I haven't been particularly rough with, putting it in, so I'd be careful if I were you. Just slide it in gently, but honestly, even if I hadn't heard about the scratching, I still would be pretty gentle. And the third thing is the Switch warping. Some people seem to have had their Switch actually bend, kind of like the iPhone 6 when it first came out.
Yeah.
I certainly haven't found that, so, it seems like a vocal minority at this point. But another thing that we want to talk about is the games, and most specifically, the biggest game that's out right now, the new Zelda title.
Breath of the Wild. It's, in my opinion, I think it's really amazing. I think it was a great combination of going back to tradition while at the same time innovating properly. If you compare it, people will always say, like, it's based off Zelda 1, and to some people that's amazing. Some others that's not that great because of how ridiculously non-linear it was, but also just, like, how troublesome it could be. I think this game is a nice balance of balancing that you can go anywhere you want, but it also gives you suggestions, and it doesn't put too much of a strain on the player. As well as just like the amount of variability in handling situations compared to other Zelda games, where you can tackle an enemy however you want to. You can handle going up anywhere any way you want to, and you'll always be rewarded for it in some way.
Yeah, I really love that there's no hand-holding, or there's very little hand-holding. With any modern game, it's no longer just 3 buttons, so there's obviously going to be a degree of tutorial, but really the game works the tutorial in a way that's, one, not obnoxious like some other games. Like some other games will just put you in, standard computerized level. It's like, this is how you jump, this is how you play the game. That's not what we're dealing with here. It's like incorporating the tutorial into the beginning of the game, and it's very intuitive. Yeah. So really, once you're done with the first tutorial, which is maybe the first hour of gameplay, but obviously it's not an hour-long tutorial. It's with a certain degree of exploration, actually.
Yeah.
Once you're done with that, there's really no hand-holding at all. The game does a very good job of sort of nudging you in the right direction, and it really doesn't need to tell you outright how to play.
Yeah.
Exploration is awesome. I feel like I play the game so much that, every time I play, I find something new, but...
Yeah. It does a great job where, like, there's so much to explore through, but it's not like Hyrule Field and Ocarina of Time. It's more like, no matter where you go, you'll probably find something pretty amazing.
Yeah. Honestly, to be final about it, I think that if you own a Switch or a Wii U, it released on the Wii U as well, you own a Switch or a Wii U, or you plan to own either of those systems, this game is 100% can't miss. You'd be doing yourself a disservice by not playing it.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a try, especially if you're a fan of open world games. If you're not, even then, it's still pretty good for non-open world players.
It's very fun. So overall, Switch, very good. Legend of Zelda, amazing.
Awesome.
And do you have any final things to say?
Yeah.
Woo! Alright, we'll see you next time.